A couple years ago, he was supposed to be the next Michael Jack. But now he can't do jack shit. We're talking about you, Maikel Franco. Tony Del Grosso, Kyle Gaffner are both here. We're talking about that third baseman for the Philadelphia Phillies, that Dominican that's hitting only .207 this season. We're going to get into it right now. What are your thoughts on Maikel Franco and his struggles?
I was kind of expecting these. I thought he'd be a little better because of what I saw down in spring training. He's seeing more pitches. He's not being as aggressive, but you kind of expected him to take a leap forward this year, and I don't really think he has done it. You expect more power out of him. He's been playing a lot better defense, which is nice to see. He's cleaned that up, but I don't think he's taken that next step to becoming a 30 home run hitter. I don't know. He's never going to hit for average. That's never going to happen. But when are we going to see that leap like we've seen with other players on this team?
Yeah, I agree with Kyle. I was kind of half expecting him to take a pretty big step forward this year, and so far he just hasn't done that. I know you're going to get into some metrics that might say otherwise, but as of right now, the results pretty much are almost identical to his first 2 years. He's still basically striking out and walking at the same rate. And he's still chasing. He just cannot lay off that breaking ball in the dirt, that breaking ball outside. Swing and miss, flailing. And that's what we saw like right when he came up. At the same time, though, you got to remember, he's still 24. It's still May. So, and he's also, like you said, he's never a guy who's going to hit for average, and he's a power hitter who's going to go through his hot streaks. But we're getting to the point where if he doesn't break out at the end of this year or beginning of next year, then all of a sudden maybe Maikel Franco, isn't one of your cornerstone players. He still might be an everyday player, but he's not a guy you could pencil in to bat fifth in your order for the next 10 years, like they were touting him as for a while.
Yeah, I'm with you. All right, yeah, I did want to get into some metrics and just a differing viewpoint. Because there was a guy named Ryan Romano that wrote an article, and I had it up. I don't know if I have it up anymore. That's what she said. Haha, get excited. All right, so Ryan Romano of SB Nation. This is a Beyond the Box Score blog, I guess, and he's a sabermetrics guy, and he's saying that Maikel Franco is actually having a really good season. You can't look at the batting average. Where's the line? Damn it. All right, anyway, I'll get into some of the article right here. So you look at his exit velocity. His exit velocity is among like the 85th percentile at 90.3. 2015, 2016, exit velocity 88.8, and then 89.6. So that number has gone up. You look at his swing rate on outside the strike zone. There's something that he does a little bit too much. He's way aggressive out of the strike zone. Last year it was 32.5%. This year it's gone down to 24.5%. So his plate discipline has gotten better, even though he still swings at those, outside pitches, the breaking pitches in the dirt. He is 2 for his last 24. So there's another thing to keep in mind. I'm trying to find he had the one line. I can't find the line right now that he had.
Wasn't what one about his exit velocity too? Or not?
Yeah, I talked about that. Okay, here we go. Here's his before he wraps it up. He goes, "It's always tempting to stop at a player's stat line and stop there. Franco's batting 200. He must not be a very good hitter. The underlying metrics, though, can tell us something different. In this case, that Franco isn't struggling, but is in fact excelling. At age 24, he's finally having the break for." So that line right there, what is he trying to say? Because statistics, he's 2 for his last 24. He's batting 207. What the hell?
Okay, based on those statistics, I kind of do agree with him. If he's hitting the ball harder and he's being more disciplined at the plate, which is basically what the two main things that guy is saying, then yeah, the results will eventually be better. But it's just hard to see that right now because the results seem worse.
Yeah,
I think he's trying to
0.2 too. His WAR's not even in the positive right now.
Yeah.
I think he's just trying to polish a turd, really, because this guy is really bad when it comes to runners with scoring position, advancing them. He has cut down on his aggressiveness, which is good to see. But if you're the cleanup hitter, your main job is to bring in runs, and he's just not doing it. And how long do you give him until how long do you leave him in this position until you bump him down? Because this team really hasn't been great at all at hitting, but like I said, and you're in the cleanup spot, you're meant to bring in runs, and you're just not doing it. And you keep chasing that pitch. It's like the Ryan Howard syndrome when he just could never lay off that breaking ball, and it just seems like the curse of Maikel Franco now too.
Yeah, I mean, I'm still
look at his strikeout rate, 16.2%. It's still basically the same. His walk rate actually has increased to 8.8%. You look at his average, 207. You look at the BABIP, batting average balls in play, it's only 208. That's measly. So in terms of luck, you would think as the season goes on, if he is hitting the ball like that guy suggested, 90.3 miles per hour, okay, sure, his batting average should go up over time, I guess. But, Kyle brought up the fact that the batting average on runners in scoring position, it's not good.
It's bad, and it's like cringing to see it. So it's like, when does McCannon pull him if they end up doing it? How long do you give him? Do you give him maybe until the end of May if he hasn't improved at all? Do you pull him, maybe bump him down to the 5-6 hole? I mean, you've got a couple hitters on this team that are red hot.
The one good thing that Franco, well, at least for him anyway, is that there's nobody knocking at the door in Double or Triple A. Mm-hmm. However, like we mentioned a few shows ago, there's a guy named Manny Machado who's going to be a free agent in a couple years. And Franco's only other position he could play is first base. So if he's not hitting the ball out of the ballpark consistently, what is Maikel Franco in the Phillies organization? I'm not saying they're definitely going to sign Machado. I'm just saying, there's going to be people pushing him out the door. Sooner rather than later. So yeah, I mean, he just needs to step up. But again, I am somewhat optimistic because I am a believer in those metrics to an extent. But again, they eventually do have to produce results.
All right, I'm gonna move to another. Well, not another topic. We're still gonna stay on Franco, but I want to talk about this. Okay, so he's only 24 years old. He's on a very, very young team, and there's all these expectations of him. That he's going to hit 30 home runs a season, that he's going to hit, bring in 100 runners, bat in 100 runners a season. Is he putting too much pressure on himself, do you think, because of all the expectations?
I don't think so. I would think the expectations would become less now because when he was in our organization originally, he was the top prospect. He was really the only prospect in our organization, if you think about it. So I feel like pressure was on him even more so then than it is now. Now you have a bunch of guys in here that are catching a lot of heat. You got Rhys Hoskins in there. You got Nick Williams, J.P. Crawford. So you think it would ease up on him not being the main guy to produce, but I don't think he is putting too much pressure on himself. I don't know what's going on with him. And baseball players get in funks, but this guy's been in a funk for 2 years now.
Yeah. It was a good point you just brought up when you said he was their top prospect a couple years ago and basically their only prospect. And I think because of that, maybe some people touted him up more than really they should have. If he had been in different organizations, he would have only been, third, fourth, fifth best prospect. So now that he's come up and struggled like he has, and we haven't clearly seen the improvements, people are starting to get concerned, and understandably so.
It's like, Brown all over again. Dominic Brown, very highly touted, but results on the field are not happening. I'm not saying he's as bad as Dominic Brown because he was awful. I mean, Franco's still knocking some runs in, but not to what we're expecting.
Yeah, Franco at least belongs in the major leagues.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brown had one amazing month, man. Got him an all-star bid, and went shit the bed after that. So,
yep.
Yeah. Jeez.
He's kind of almost a legend in Philadelphia in a weird way.
That was a great month. I mean, he was killing the ball, and then pitchers watched some tape on him, and then he just couldn't adjust. He was
untouchable. Nobody wanted to trade him.
They didn't want to trade him. He was our highly touted prospect. They were saying this guy was the next Barry Bonds.
They wouldn't trade him for Roy Halladay at one point.
Yeah, he was untouchable. And it's funny to think because everybody was waiting for that potential. He was a 5-tool player. It just never came.
Most of baseball agreed with him too. Most of baseball thought he was a top prospect as well. It's not like they thought Phillies were idiots. That's just how it works.
Yeah, I'm trying to find where do you find batting average for runners in scoring position? I'm trying to find it on Fangraphs. I don't see it.
You probably have to go to splits.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I just wanted to know what it is. What's his batting? Okay, whatever. All right. If it doesn't matter, I know it's low because I saw what it was.
It's very poor.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Really talk about it
like
further.
over the course of the year, your batting average of runners in scoring position is going to look awfully similar to your regular batting average. That usually evens out anyway. So, I personally don't.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say this. God damn it! Where's that coming from? That's Fangraphs right there. There we go. Okay, and now it just made me forget what I was gonna say. Okay, I will say this. He's hitting 207. So I think what that article states, I'll agree with the author to an extent that maybe what he's showing isn't as bad as what we think, but it's still not fucking gravy or anything. It's just maybe there's some hope for the second half of the season. Maybe there's some hope over the next couple months that he can turn it around. That's what that article kind of says.
Got to be some hope with the way we've been playing, man. It's brutal. It's brutal.
As long as Altera's in the lineup, you're tuning in, aren't you?
Yeah,
of course. Yeah, and as long as Altera's in the lineup and hits home runs, we still lose games. So doesn't matter.
I watch my Phillies regardless. It doesn't matter. I'll tune into them when they're only winning 60 games. But it's really a struggle to see when we're getting on base, actually. We have runners that get on base. It's just we can't move them over and across the plate. And that's what's so frustrating.
I think another big issue that, because I don't know, I was listening to the radio today and talking about the bullpen. But one of the reasons the bullpen has been so bad is because the starting pitching has been so bad. I mean,
right.
I mean, the bullpen's already overworked. It's not even mid-May yet.
The starting pitching hasn't gone 6 innings and
yeah, exactly. Like, when was the last time you said, "Damn, that was a good start by a Philly starter"?
Early April, when we were thinking Jeremy Hellickson was,
Jeremy Hellickson
on fire.
When people had nothing to write about and said that they should extend him.
Yeah, when they should give him a big deal.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah, so Aaron Altera's still killing it. I mean, the dude hit a 3-run homer in 3 straight games.
Yep.
4 in 3 games total. That's just extraordinary. And, Tony brought up the point before the show, which is funny. It's like people are finally jumping on the bandwagon. We've been on the bandwagon for years.
Well, like he's a new player in the organization or something. Like people are just realizing who Aaron Altera is.
Well, people that don't watch baseball and see stats jump on the bandwagon, The guy's got talent.
Like we were saying, at the end of 2015 when they called him up, he showed flashes just like this. His stats at the end of the year didn't look very good, but you saw the ability. And then last year was just a complete wash injury-wise, and he's finally getting a chance again.
They rushed him back, but he's seeing the pitches so well, and he's going up there with confidence and thinking nobody can get me out, and he really has. It's fun to watch him play.
He was actually
whose spot should he take in the lineup? He has to play.
Radio today, and he gave a lot of credit to Stairs. Basically said that he made a simple adjustment, lowering his hands, and he's just attacking the ball more violently now. He's hitting it at a better angle, and ball's going in the air. And a big, strong kid like that is gonna go far. I mean, he's 6'5", and he has such a short swing.
He shortened his swing up since Reading. It used to be elongated, but now he has shortened up his swing.
Mm-hmm.
And to answer your question, Adrian, he should take Michael Saunders' spot when everything gets fixed up. There's no way you take this kid out of lineup, even if he gets in a little bit of a slump, because he deserves to be starting. He should have been a starter on opening day.
He's the best outfielder they have defensively at all 3 positions too. He's even better than Herrera, in my opinion. So he can give Herrera a blow a couple days a week in center field too. That's fine with me. You know what I mean? As long as he's in the lineup. That's all that matters.
He's versatile. He's got a gun of an arm. He can hit. He can hit for power. He can get on base. He almost had the cycle the other night.
Gonna end up being
It was a triple.
You always bring up Jason Worth when you talk about Ariel Tertoti, and that's something with Worth as well. His defense was always underrated. And you look at Altera, not a lot of people are talking about his defense.
I just think it's an easy comparison to make because the body types, the injury histories, the late bloomers, and you look at what Jason Worth was in his prime. I think that's what Altera could possibly be in his prime.
I think he could be better than Worth. I think he could be more of a power hitter than Worth.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're almost identical.
I have this like Jason Worth card when he was on the Orioles. And he's got these like big goofy glasses. Like you can't even recognize who the hell he is. To think that guy became like, everyday starter for the Phillies. And
$100 million Paul. Yep.
$100 million baseball player. Like, it's incredible.
Yeah.
It just shows you, man, if you work hard and you do everything you can to get on a roster, things can happen. Look at Victorino, too. Another player that was just thrown off to the side and became one of our better center fielders.
It shows what small adjustments can do in baseball, too. I don't know if you guys know, like, what Yonder Alonso was doing this year for the A's. He was a guy who I think his career high in home runs was like 9. Just basically a slap hitter as a first baseman, which means you're not going to be in the league long. Well, he changed his swing this offseason. He's hitting the ball harder and in the air more. And he already has like 10, 11 home runs in the middle of May.
It's awesome.
I don't think it's a fluke. It's, he's not going to stay as hot as he is. But, you see little changes can go a long way in baseball.
That or PEDs. Either one's will really help your game out.
Well, don't the A's, don't they like to do that? They like to play the long ball or the whole money ball thing.
Yeah.
That's their approach,
That's Billy Bean for you.
Yeah.
Get low bargain players, bring them in, and then they've had success with it. They really have.
I mean, look at Chris Davis for them last year. He had 42 home runs ever.
Yeah.
I mean, people knew he had power.
Chris Davis. That not that Chris Davis, the one with a KH.
Yeah, that's different Chris Davis.
That Chris.
Yeah, the different one, the outfielder, not the first baseman, not for the Orioles. Got it for the Brewers.
Yes.
Used to be on the Brewers. Yep.
Yeah, he was on.
All right. Last topic before we get out. This show actually went longer than I expected. Pete Mackanin got a little bit of an extension. Thoughts on the contract?
Yeah, I'm not crazy about it. I don't think there's anything to get excited or be disappointed in. You just, Tony touched on it. I think it's just to give this guy another chance as opposed to being just a one-year starter. It's basically like extending it as opposed to being an interim coach. You had a little time before. You're giving it a little bit more time to help these young pups through the league and see if you can actually do something with this team before we become competitive again.
Yeah, it's basically, to me, it's kind of like a neutral move. It doesn't really – it basically just makes him not a lame duck, technically speaking, even though it still kind of makes him a lame duck because it's basically only a one-year deal. So it's – in my opinion, it's kind of Clentac telling Mackanin, hey, here's your chance with the kids. Most likely you're going to be gone when we're ready to win. But there's
like the Brett Brown thing. Like, all right, we'll give you a chance. If you can really prove it, if you can really show us, like, okay, you're legit, all right, we'll keep you on. But most likely Pete Mackanin, Brett Brown, those guys are going to be gone when we're ready to contend with the Sixers and Phillies, respectively.
I actually think Brett will be around, but
I hope Brett is here.
What you're saying, yeah, it's the same.
You think Brett Brown will be around?
I hope he is.
I love the Lobsterman.
I hope so. I could care less about Pete Mackanin.
He's the Lobsterman.
Yeah.
I met Brett Brown, dude, like the nicest guy in the world.
He's really cool. He is a really cool guy.
Did you ever hear him?
Like you can't help but root for him.
Did you ever hear him
interviews
while he jogged?
I mean, like, I like the fact that he comes from the this is a Philly show. We're talking Brett Brown, but I like the fact that he comes from the Spurs coaching tree and all that. But there's just something about him. I don't think he has it. We'll see.
We'll see. Yeah.
So, all right. That about wraps it up. We got any final thoughts before we head out?
Yeah, I got a final thought. It was good to see another ex-Philly come into town. 2008 World Champion.
I forgot about you. Good shit. Good to bring that up.
Yeah, came in. It was great to see him get a standing ovation. He didn't start the first series, which is all right. He came in for a pinch hit. I thought they did him well. Gave him a standing ovation like they had with Jimmy and with Utley. He played better in the second game. He actually got a 4 RBIs against us in the second one. But he's just an overall great. I think it's the best catcher we've ever had. So it was great to see the Philly fans cheer for him, even when he cleared the bases, when he hit that bases clearing double, just like they did for Utley when he hit the home runs. But great to see him back in Philadelphia and at CBP.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. Just how can you not like Chooch? I actually heard some callers today on the radio saying that they were mad that people standed up and gave him a standing ovation. Are you kidding me?
That's ridiculous.
People said that about Utley too, actually.
Yeah, they did. They did.
I mean, I don't agree. I think Bob Boone is probably the best catcher in North.
I agree with that. Bob Boone's best catcher.
But I'll give him at least second or third. I mean,
I never saw Bob Boone play because he played like the 70s, right, or the 60s, whatever the hell he played. So I can't.
In our lifetime, it was basically Lieberthal and Chooch. So
I never liked Lieberthal. I didn't think he was a good catcher. I gotta get behind Chooch.
Yeah.
That little Dutch Dalton.
Dalton. I know Dutch. Yeah, Dutch is awesome. I had to give him the second best.
Little Bobby Estalella.
Bobby Estalella makes the show.
His biceps were at 2 of my heads combined.
Yes.
And I think he had like.
How is he not ever tested? Like how did he never not fail?
Diluted.
Yeah.
Diluted. Clearly.
Diluted sample.
Clearly. But yeah, dude, I love Chooch. I would say Bob Boone. Now, I have watched him because dude, I'm a loser and I have like all these fucking games on DVD and like on my hard drive. Like I have all the 1980 games. I have all the play. Actually, honestly, I have all the playoff games from the Phillies, like that 70s and early 80s era. I have all the games on DVD.
Oh, nice.
And
Nice.
Bob Boone's fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm like a big collector on that shit. Like I have all these games. Like I have every Eagles game since every Eagles game since 2000. I'm ridiculous.
I mean, in that time period, I think Johnny Bench and Bob Boone were considered the 2 best catchers in baseball. Like Bench was in his own tier, but I think people considered Boone pretty darn good too.
Yeah. I
just like Chooch because he knew how to command a pitching staff. He just.
Oh yeah, defensively, absolutely. You gotta love his walk-up song too. They said they played it.
Yeah.
Phil Collins.
Phil Collins.
I remember the first time I actually heard that in a stadium, I thought it was a joke, and they just kept doing it over and over again for years. I'm like, this is awesome. I love this guy.
A kid from Panamania listening to Phil Collins as his walk-up.
I bet it was a joke at first. Like he didn't even understand the words, and he just told somebody to keep doing it.
He's like, I like the sound of that. Let's just play this as my walk-up song for 10 years.
Yeah.
Did you guys know that Chooch has a pair of kids, and one of his names is Carlos, the other one's Carlos as well?
No, I did not know that. It's like the boxer Foreman, George Foreman, named all his kids George. So Chooch is doing the same thing.
He's got 2 kids, and they're both named Carlos.
That's awesome.
Like, how are you supposed to call them? Like both of them are playing outside. Hey, Carlos, come inside.
Carlos 1. Carlos 1 and Carlos 2.
El Chuche.
Yeah, call one of them Chooch. Nickname one of them Chooch. Something.
No, there would never be another Chooch.
Nope, never. Well, hopefully Alfaro can turn into what Chooch, half of what Chooch was with commanding a pitching staff. Because great, and he was a second baseman that they converted.
Yeah. And honestly, you look at most teams that win, they usually have a defensive-minded catcher.
Yep, Yadier.
Yep.
Comes off the top of my head.
Mm.
Great. I'm looking at Bob Boone right now. Bob Boone was a 7-time Gold Glover.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
That's a lot.
Fuck that.
That's awesome.
And 4-time All-Star. So
when was his last year?
Huh?
When was his last year?
Oh, when was last year? Hold on, let me go back. I was just curious to see. Did Chooch ever win?
I think 1.
Gold Glove?
Maybe 1.
I do think
Bob
Glove.
Bob Boone, 1990 was his last year. He was 42 years old with the Royals.
Shit. I would have guessed like 85 at the most.
Yeah, I didn't know he played that long.
So I was actually alive for one of his years.
Yeah. I was alive for 3.
That was 4. Man.
Chooch never won a Gold Glove.
Wow. That's a sin. That's ridiculous. He did catch 4 no-hitters, though, so he puts him up there with Veritek.
It's true.
I think it's very hard for catchers to get Gold Gloves because I don't think Yadier Molina has that many either.
I would think.
I mean, Gold Gloves are kind of who hits really. It's not
popular.
Not really.
Yeah.
I mean, fucking Bobby Abreu won a goddamn Gold Glove. It's a joke. Usually, it's a joke.
Yadier Molina has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Oh,
8
wow,
Gold Gloves.
does he?
Yeah. He's a borderline.
He won a Gold Glove every year from 2008 to 2015. He
a great catcher.
So Chooch never had an opportunity because he had Yadier Molina playing.
Right. Yeah.
That's a shame.
So there you go. All right. I got to cut this off because we're doing Flyers at 8 o'clock, and it's already 8 o'clock. This show went long, but it's okay. So we did final thoughts. We did everything. So Kyle Gaffner, Tony Del Grosso, I'm Adrian Fedke. My bad, Tony. Tony D. We're out of here.
Later, guys.
Later.